Hello viewers, well, MX vs ATV Legends will shortly be released on console and PC. It's a brand that's been around for quite a few years, it's had ups and downs, and yet it still holds a special place in the hearts of many gamers who all have a version perhaps that they cherish and have enjoyed more than any other. In recent years, the MX vs ATV brand has been a bit rough around the edges. It's had some fun gameplay combined with perhaps technology that's been a little bit behind, or games that haven't quite reached their full potential. MX vs ATV Legends attempts to bring that all back bang up to date, and in this version I've been given some of the various elements that are in the game, and I'm going to discuss some of those. You've got obviously 2- and 4-wheeled exploration competition with bikes, ATVs and UTVs. There's a new sizable outdoor environment, including the California coast, an expanded career mode with sponsorship opportunities and special invitations, just like the pros, customization, vehicle parts, rider gear, and of course refined physics system with other elements that are in there as well, trials mode and 2-player split screen mode. So in terms of game content, it's all there, it all goes on the box. In terms of gaming experience, I'll give you the experience I have so far. One of the first things that you start off with, you go into a kind of open world area and you have a tutorial mode. And I found it to be one of those, I'm the sort of person that sometimes I like to do a tutorial mode, and sometimes I like to just jump into the game and play the game, and you can't progress in the game until you've completed the tutorial mode. You drive around the open area, you get given various tasks, some of them seem clearer than others. The atmosphere of the game at this point is quite lacking, and I found it to be tedious and laborious to get through, quite frustrating. In the end, you get through it and then you can get on with the main game, but it's just a grind to just get through that tutorial mode, and then you can crack on. I always find that I tend to learn by doing. Getting on then, let's talk about the biking first of all. Yeah, it's running on the Xbox Series X as you see it in this video. It's smooth, it's functional. The bike in its own fun arcade action way behaves well, predictably, and again it's a fun biking game. It's sort of middle of the road, and it plays well. It's sort of torn when I look at it, graphically it's quite dated, and yet there are some nice texture and lighting elements, there's some nice foliage elements, so it's a real mismatch of graphical styles in there. It's not like everything's good or everything's bad, it's a bit of a mixed style. And then I'll go through this, then you go back to your sort of farmyard open world area, and you chat to your I would say again pretty boring faceless guys, and you unlock additional events and progress, and eventually you open the other vehicles. Onto the ATV, which again it feels something more like a game I reviewed years ago called Nailed. It's good fun. I found myself winning by some margin actually on the ATVs. Maybe I've still got that 4-wheeled skill rather than the 2-wheeled skill, but I enjoyed it in its own way. It's fun, it's very intuitive, it's very high speed, and it could be great online. And I've not managed to test it online because I'm testing this game pre-release at this stage, so there's nobody to play online at the moment, but there will be when the game's released hopefully. And I think the ATVs are actually one of the highlights in the game. They're a lot of fun to play. So ATVs are fun. I wish we could unlock more events. I wish there was just more to do from the off. You really do have to grind through the game to get everything unlocked. Keep on playing, win a few more bike events, win a few more ATV events, do a few more challenges back on the farm, and eventually you unlock the UTVs. And the UTVs initially take a bit of challenge to get used to. From a driving game perspective, they're quite limited. Cockpit cam, other things, it's not really the most practical. It's easier to play from behind. The AI is a bit blind and will just smack into you a lot of the time. But what I was impressed with was, again, the environment was, I felt the scale of the environment was impressive. The mountains in the distance, some of the look and the feel, the fluidity. When I was racing it, it almost felt more like Motorstorm, and it was sort of Motorstorm inspired, the way the cars behave and act. And I really thought, wow, this could be a game in its own right. There's such good fun to be had on these other modes. So the UTVs and the ATVs, so far have been a good addition to the game. There's a lot there to have fun in and enjoy. And I feel that online, if there are enough players online, then there is fun to be had when you're racing with friends in some of these vehicles. They are fun, bonkers, and it's not too serious, but at the same time require a fair amount of skill to get just right in terms of handling and getting the most out of said vehicle, and understanding when you lift and slide through a corner, or you're aggressively just turning in and keeping on the power. So, and the laps are very long on some of these courses, several minutes per lap, flat out at high speed. There's a lot to remember, and the room for error increases greatly. So it starts quite easy, but as you work your way through the game and the jumps get bigger and bigger and bigger, you'll find areas where you can fall flat on your face everywhere. If you do happen to crash on the bike, often I found it means just once, it means you'll be in last place. And this can affect the difficulty curve, because even from quite early in the game, one fall means you come in last. It means if you fall off the bike, quite often you need to restart and just do it again. The other vehicles, again, I think the ATV was very straightforward to get into. The UTV may require a few restarts just because of the floaty, bouncy handling, just getting used and getting away from the AI in the first few corners. You can do that and you can have a nice race. So in terms of difficulty, the bike for me is the most difficult aspect that's in there, but as I was playing through, I got more and more aggressive and I enjoyed it more and more. That leads me on to the other aspects of the game. So you've got this fun racing element, you've got these graphics that are a mix between some really nice effects and looking quite dated, but you've got other aspects of the game that just feel unfinished, and I just want to highlight a few of these. Firstly, the loading times in this game are some of the worst I've ever encountered in a game in recent memory. And if you just look at a loading screen, if I put one up now, you're looking at this loading screen I must have been looking at this loading screen for a couple of hours while I was playing through it, and you've got to load the game and then you realise you've gone into the wrong challenge. You need to back out and reload the whole thing again. There is a lot of loading time on the Xbox Series X, and I don't know if those loading times are just not optimised or if they're going to be worse on the other consoles, but the loading times are significant on the game, and it is something that I feel the developers do need to look at, because I felt I was just looking at loading screens way too much. Another aspect that I think there is some strange delays here and there, like when you're pausing, going to menus, delays on button presses. There's a few bugs in the game here and there, but this is the launch build as I review this. It's Monday 27th of June as I record this and put it together, and I have the recent build and I was still receiving a crash to title screen bug. So there are a few bugs in there. Even when you're talking to your characters on the farm, if you don't move your bike to the right place, exactly the right place, they don't talk to you. So you ride up to them, crash into them, talk to them, and they won't acknowledge you. You ride past them, ride back, ride past them, ride back, and then eventually they see you. Just little things here and there. The menus themselves are very basic. They lack atmosphere. The riders that you're up against are just nobodies. There's no feeling that these races mean anything and that you're part of a world. It's a very incoherent experience, and I can see that from a game production perspective now. It's a tick box of what do we need in the game, right? We need career mode, we need short race mode, we need online mode, we need split screen, we need customization, we need to do what other rivals are doing, and I feel that the focus gets lost where more resource could be put into creating a nice experience that's slightly smaller. You end up with this big experience on paper, but ultimately it just lacks a little bit of feeling and a little bit of vibe throughout, and it leaves with a relatively drab experience unless you actually have friends to play with. So the core gameplay is very separate from the presentation, the font, the look. There's no replay cameras, there's no replay mode. So if you do have a great race with friends and you don't record it at the time, well, there you go, it's gone. And that's a bit of a shame as well. So in terms of the game itself, it's very average in terms of the layout that's in there, and there's lots of little elements that haven't been refined and put into place. So Yeah, MX versus ATV Legends. So far, I've not managed to test the online mode, and I think the online mode could be a bit of a saviour, but I do still feel that you need to be talking to people, you need that banter, you need to have your friends rather than just playing randoms online. It depends how competitive it gets, really. I think the hardcore fan base will keep it going, and I think there's some good stuff in here, but it's not tied together well from a presentational element. It doesn't give me that energy and that vibe that makes me want to work my way through it. It feels like I'm developing myself as a rider, racer in any way. So MX vs ATV Legends, that's it for this sort of first look review, if you like, from me. It's a game that's very much for the fans, and you know, I think for everybody else, I think they'll probably steer clear of it until it's at a budget price, and then they can have a look at it. But there are some elements that I hope they can patch out, and those loading times are really bad right now. They need to sort that out, because you do end up looking at that screen a lot. But that's it from me for now on this quick look at MX vs ATV Legends. Do let me know what you think of the game in the comments. And that's it from me for now. I will play it a bit more on the stream, no doubt, and demo it a little bit there, and there'll be more from me very soon. Hello viewers, well thanks for watching the video today. Do like and subscribe, it supports what we do. Do become a YouTube member. YouTube Patreon supports all of our content you see on the channel, and of course lots of gaming from retro to modern games. I love it all in terms of racing action. So click on one of the two videos just there to find out more.